Hey guys, it's Kennedy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video. I'm going to be talking about some tips I have for other young moms or teen moms. Just kind of like what I've been through, and based on what I've been through, tips I have for other moms going through the same thing. So I've put together 5 big tips that kind of tie into a bunch of little topics about my experience as a mom and basically like advice for other moms. So my very first one is big brands don't matter. I feel like nowadays everyone is wanting to buy and use like the most expensive clothing and brands and just like things in general for children and yourself as like a pregnant mom, which is fine, but for those that live on a budget, especially if you're a very young mom and don't really have a lot of support, Walmart has great selection of clothes. Target has great selection of clothes. You can use hand-me-downs. Like, you don't need to have the most expensive big brands that everyone seems to be talking about. When I was pregnant, I was really nervous because I did have my parents to help me out. When I was pregnant, I did have the support of my parents, thankfully, but that didn't necessarily mean that I was going to get the most expensive clothes, most expensive baby things, like an insane amount of high-end diapers. Like, it's okay to use those off-brand things. You don't have to have a fat bow on your baby girl with every single outfit. You don't have to have matching swaddles to bows and like that. Those things are okay, and might I add, they are very adorable. Those things are all very cute, and if you want to do that, that's totally fine. But I feel like we all look up to these big mommy or family channel influencers these days without realizing that we don't have to be exactly like them. I dress my kid in Walmart and Target and honestly thrift store clothes and shoes. Like, as long as it works for him and as long as he's healthy and happy, that's fine with me. The same with goes with like for pregnancy. Like, you don't have to buy these like insane maternity clothes, because might I add, maternity clothes are very expensive. And my point is, the big brands aren't essential and vital. They don't always mean that they're better for you and the baby. You don't have to make your life and your pregnancy and your child look like it's lavish and expensive and only using these brands. And that's not what's important. All that's important is that you are taken care of and your child is taken care of. So my next tip is to speak up. If you are, let's say you're 16 and you just found out you're pregnant and you're too scared to tell people, honestly, don't be embarrassed about it. There's no need to be ashamed about it. And the speak up, I have it as its own thing, because when I was pregnant, I know that there was a lot of like contradiction with my family, because I grew up in a very strict church where, give yourself to another human when you are married, and I was 17 in high school and I was pregnant. So I know that there was a lot of contradiction there, and there were a lot of people my age that were supporting me, but there were a lot of people that were talking about me. So it's really important to stick up for yourself and speak up. Like, just because those choices you made happen, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you are, those words that people will tend to call you when you get pregnant at a young age. It's very important to speak up, especially when they're talking about your soon-to-be child. That's very important. I remember I was called many things, and I know I was talked about in many ways due to being pregnant at 17, and that wasn't okay with me. Like, you guys can talk, people can talk whatever they want to talk, but if I know about it, I'm going to say something, because you are not allowed to talk about my child, because he can't defend himself, especially when he's in the womb. My third tip kind of tied into the last one. It's to not be embarrassed. I know it can be very scary when you're pregnant at such a young age. You're scared for how you're going to do this. You're scared for what people are going to say and think about you. And the most important thing with being pregnant at a young age, besides taking care of the child, is to just not be embarrassed about it. If you're wanting to hide it and be embarrassed, then what's that just going to tell your child who's being born? It's done. It's happened. You know, it's going on, life goes on, so there's no use spending any time being embarrassed about it. My fourth tip is know what you're getting into. I can't stress enough how many people message me telling me like, and just wanting like advice for like a young mom, which is why I'm making this video. But what's very frustrating is I don't want people to think that I'm glorifying teen pregnancy, because that's not at all what I'm trying to do. And like I said in my last tip, it's important to not be embarrassed and to speak up for yourself with these topics, but it's important to not glorify teen pregnancy, because although any mom can make it work, and you can make it work beautifully just as well as you would if you were older, it does not mean that it's not hard. Teen pregnancy was very hard for me. It was a very painful mental game, and still is, because, thank you, I missed out on a lot of fun things when I was a senior in high school. I lost a lot of friends. I didn't get to, you know, do fun newly 18-year-old things, and college is very hard to do when you're a young parent. I'm not in college right now because I just haven't found that it's going to be worth going for what I'm wanting my future like career to be, and just like with things going on. I'll make a separate video about like my future plans and like why I didn't go to college and such later on. But it is a very, very, very hard thing to manage at such a young age. It seemed very easy for me because I didn't necessarily glorify it, but I did show, you know, the positives of my teen pregnancy and being a mom at such a young age on my social media, because that tends to be what people do. We tend to post the happy, positive, beautiful moments of our life on social media. See, social media in general is just such a difficult thing these days, especially with, you know, the people we look up to and influencers and who we want to be and such. I just don't want anyone to think that it's an easy thing and that just because you want a baby, it means you should have a baby right now. I am in no ways judging or anything like that for other young moms or pregnant teenagers, or just anyone who's young and who's pregnant right now, or expecting or wanting to be pregnant. I am in no way judging you at all. I just want people to know what it is that you are getting into, getting pregnant very young or having a child very young. My last tip is probably one of the most important ones, and that is to find relatable friends or just people you can relate to. My pregnancy was extremely lonely and difficult. I will admit, with my high school, like, people that were following me on social media, I did become pretty popular, and I depended on my YouTube channel a lot to kind of keep me from being so lonely, but that didn't completely stop it. It's very hard being pregnant and doing online school at home when people your age are going to prom and homecoming, and they're doing powder puff and senior trips and graduation especially. It is very, very hard to see your peers off doing those things when you're at home and you're pregnant. And that's not to say that you can't do those things with them while pregnant, but there's no way to say that it doesn't make it different or, I guess, more difficult for you. So it's extremely important to find people that you relate to. I watch a lot of YouTube moms on, YouTube, and I follow a lot of them on social media because they all went through the similar thing, and it's so much easier going through hard times and lonely times when there's other people to relate to and be there for you. I'm in a group chat right now of all these young moms all over the world who have met each other one way or the other, and we're all like best friends, and we just give each other tips and advice, and we talk to each other when we're going through hard times, and we get each other help when things are rough, or we like share our successes and our failures with our children. And honestly, it's such a beautiful and wonderful thing, and it makes it so much more worth it in the end. Anyway, I hope this video helped you guys out. Those are my tips that I have. I have like millions more, but I feel like those are just like my biggest stressors and advice and tips for anyone who's a young mom or a pregnant teen and is like absolutely freaking out right now. And if you are a pregnant teen and you happen to come across my channel, I hope you stick around, and I hope you know that things are going to be okay and you're going to do amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.